Hello everyone, we know that a lot of you are waiting for this video. Welcome to the behind the scenes video of the Culdee Fell movie that we released last year. As this is quite a large production with a lot of things to cover, we have decided to separate this in-depth behind the scenes video into several sections. So, sit back and enjoy!
After the release of The Adventure Continues and the mostly positive comments we've received, we just felt like making another special. We have thought of making something original or another The Adventure Begins style adaptation, but in the end, as you can see, we've went for this, a combination of both.
One of the main problems with The Adventure Continues was that all of the stories were heard, especially by older fans. The idea of retelling the story is to recap and to reminisce. But that didn't go too well. So for this special, we have decided to add original stories within the big adaptation to make things even fresh.
Another reason we did this is to give all the Culdee Fell engines exposure. Honestly, I've spent time making all these customs and I wouldn't want it to be in the back of the shot for 5 seconds without even his face on the screen, like it was in the Railway series.
Another problem we've addressed is the pace. We received comments from The Adventure Continues that the story was rushed and not much substance was included. So for this special, we spread out the stories, building every event from foreshadowing all the way to the climax and resolution. In this production, we also minimized the role of the narrator to include more dialogue interaction between characters.
Another way of adding substance is the inclusion of a main theme. This actually is quite a last-minute script change. In order to link the story, the theme of Culdee being a leader is added, and his progression acts as a bridge between all those events that are happening.
After the story is mostly finished, it's time to work on the customs. Apparently, none of the ranges that we're using had these mountain engines, so everything will have to be built from scratch.
And it is quite a tedious process, although in the end I think it is quite fun and everything pays off. We start by choosing which engines to modify into the mountain engines, just like any other customs.
One of the obvious choice is Freddy. He looks like one of the mountain engines without any modifications already. But what about the new wave engines, Patrick, Alaric, and Eric? We have seen people using Freddy, Percy, or even James to make these characters, but we didn't think this will do for the special.
So what we have ultimately chose, as you might have known, is Duncan. Obviously, he needs heavy modifications, but his boiler and cab and all those frames and ideas are quite there already. With the engine chosen, we now have to modify them with cardboard to make them more like the mountain engines and less like the original. This is something you'd like to do when making customs. You wouldn't want people to notice at first sight what engine it was, and I think it kind of takes away the point of making a custom, to create a new character.
Then comes the next process, in which the corners and joints are smoothened to give a more finished look. One thing to add is that all these engines are uniquely different, not only personality-wise, but also their looks. We made sure the details will have variations, like the number of boiler caps, its positions, pipe handrails, yeah, you get the idea.
And after the body has finished, I took the engines out for spray painting. The only thing left now is to paint the black areas and add small details like linings and handrails, and soon they're ready for their face. The faces are made using clay and based on toys or illustrations. I'm especially proud of Culdee, Wilfred, Ernest, and Alaric. With the back faces sculpted and the front hook installed, they are ready for filming.
But what is a mountain railway without rolling stocks? Similarly, As there are no existing rolling stock for us to use, we'll have to make them as well. To cut some costs, we've used off-brand coaches and trucks for these customs.
Another plus side of using these off-brand rolling stocks is that they look slightly different from the normal ones. This echoes my point earlier of making the customs look apart. To make them, I've simply combined a slate truck and a coach for the truck, with some cardboard scratch build structure in the middle. As for the open coaches, we just cut off the roof and there we are.
As for the other coaches, it's not really just a simple repaint. We make sure that every coach is a little bit different, be it the front or the side windows. Lastly, adding the noses, eyes, and the painted mouth. They are ready to go.
There's also one coach that we've made with a slanted front, based on one of the illustrations. And as for Gaudret's coach, it is scratch built from wood. This has been one of the most ambitious projects I've made, and I really like how the engines and the coaches has turned out.
To make the story more immersive, set building is very important. We were used to building sets that are flatter, like the countryside, main line, and stations. But this time, we have to recreate mountains.
To make it look believable, I don't think a simple camera angle trick would do. So as you can see, I've built physical inclination with a little plastic board I found lying around in my home and some boxes or any items underneath for support.
We try to keep the sets realistic and true to the original, so way before filming, we researched on the illustrations and real locations in order for the sets to base on.
Filming took place across two of my personal trips, one to the US and the other one to Iceland, and I've got things from both of them that contributed to this project. From the US trip, I've got some rock face that ended up at the summit and some fence. And as for from Iceland, I've got some rocks back, and you can just see them casually lying everywhere.
In addition to these sets, we also need dioramas for close-ups, like Audrey's home and the manager's office. Two sets actually utilize the same sheets for walls, just flipped over. That's why you always view the home from the right and the office from the left.
I just love adding little details and Easter eggs in these sets, and they were just so much fun to build. As for the figures, the Reverend Audrey was made for the finale of our season 1, while the manager was specifically made for this special, as all of his scenes involves him only sitting on his desk. He actually only has an upper body.
Another fun fact was during filming, some of the coaches were still unnamed. So we've made markings under the carriage with numbers or other symbols to make sure that we don't mix them up.
Another thing I've made sure during filming is that no fishing wire should appear on the screen too apparently. You know, sometimes when we film with the fishing wire still attached to the engines, but we're not actually tightening it or using it, it curls up right in front of the camera and it looks really annoying. I made a promise to myself not to allow that to happen, and if it did, I will force myself to reshoot that scene.
Like any other project, music builds up the mood for everything. As we aim at making a CGI-style adaptation, we make every effort to include only CGI-era soundtracks.
To add more choice to our music, I've included tracks from some other movies as well, as you may have noticed, such as Mary Poppins 1 and 2, and even Johnny English 3. Movies that I've been watching back when I was editing.
Just like the adventure continues, we would like a song for the special. So, we tried to search for any songs related to mountain railway or leadership. We did end up using some of the songs, but decided to recreate one for the climax and at the ending.
The song Culdee You're the Leader is based on the live on-stage version of Thomas You're the Leader, which I definitely prefer. And thanks to the talents of the Tuxter Intensifies and Vincente22, we have a brilliant rendition of the song, just the thing we're wanting for our special.
There isn't really much to say about editing and stuff, but this video won't be complete without this session, would it? Editing took about 3 months since the end of filming until the very day the video was released.
We would like to apologize for some of the minor glitches in the video that some of you may have noticed. I really truly hope that this project would be perfect and flawless, but the editing software decided otherwise. The audio glitches that you heard has nothing to do with the physical cut. It's just the software's own glitch, problems that I can't fix. And which is also why I've decided to not use that software and went to learn a new one.
Speaking of the release, the date is specifically chosen, as the 26th of September is the reopening day of the actual Snowdon Mountain Railway 123 years ago. As for the year 2019, it is also the 55th anniversary for the release of the Railway series book, Mountain Engines.
And as for the actual release, we've utilized the premiere function of YouTube so that we can chat and interact with all of you upon the release of the video. It was truly a great experience receiving feedbacks and thoughts in real time.
Once it was released, everyone seemed to like it. Comments came flooding in every day and views were rocketing. As of for now, 6 months later, we already have more than 120,000 views, making it one of our most popular videos and completely surpassed The Adventure Continues and our expectation. This video also made our channel for more than 10,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone for your support.
So, there you have it, an in-depth review of how we've made this special. We've had an extremely fun time during the production, and we hope that you've had a great time watching it as well.